Hi, this is Beth Graham. Welcome to this full body yoga short stretch practice. You might want 2 blocks at the top of your mat. We'll start off in child's pose. Bring your knees wide, big toes to touch, and extend your arms towards the top of the mat. Bring some space between your fingers and rotate your outer armpits down to the floor. As your hips feel heavy towards your heels, lengthen your forehead towards the top of the mat. Give yourself a few breaths here to settle in. Shift forward into a tabletop. Turn your hands out slightly and then reach your legs back, coming into a high plank pose. Crease of the elbows forward. Then lift your hips, downward facing dog pose. Continue to bring space between your fingers as you press down through your pointer finger and base of the thumb. Bring the outer armpits back and feel a hugging of your elbows in. Draw your navel in and then feel the lift of the hips up as heels descend. Come up high on your tippy toes. Step your feet forward to the top of the mat. Bring your hands to your shins and come into a half lift. Exhale, bend your knees, ribs to thighs, and fold. Next inhale, reverse swan dive, reach up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Let your elbows get heavy so your shoulders can relax, setting up for mountain pose. Press through the mound below the big toe, pinky toe, and center of your heel. Roll your inner thighs back, lengthen your tailbone. Bring your hands behind your head, interlace your fingers for chair pose. You'll bring the weight into the heels and shift your hips back. With the weight in the heels, keep your toes light and then rotate through the pelvic bowl, pulling your hip points up. As you pull the hip points up, feel the contraction of your core and then space across the collarbones. Stay here for an inhale. Exhale, fold forward, hands to your shins. Inhale, lengthen the spine forward. Exhale, hands to the mat. Take the left leg back, coming into a low crescent lunge, bringing the top of the left knee to the floor as you reach your arms up to the ceiling. Press down with the left shin and foot to feel heavy, and then reach your arms back to feel the lift of the chest. Bring your right hand to hip and side fold. If this bothers your left shoulder, bring the hand behind the head. And then feel extension from the front of the left hip through the fingers, just opening up the side body. Hands return to the mat inside the right foot. Turn the toes out to 2 o'clock and bring your forearms down to the mat for lizard. If your upper back is hunched or domed, use blocks under the forearms or keep your hands on the mat. To get opening in the hip and feel this external rotation, you need a nice long extended spine or you pull the body out of the experience. This is also a pose more of undoing than doing. So let gravity do the work as you settle in. Come up high to your hands, into a runner's lunge, and then slide the right foot straight back to a high plank, and then lift the hips, down dog. Give yourself a moment to root down through the palms and feel extension through the spine as the sits bones get light and the heels get heavy. Come up high on your tippy toes, step the left foot, then the right foot forward. Bring your hands to your shins, half lift, exhale, fold. Next inhale, reverse swan dive, reach up. Exhale, hands to your heart. This time for chair pose, we'll set up with goalpost arms. So press your forearms back as you tilt your elbows forward. Then reach your hips back, weight is in heels, and lengthen the tailbone as you feel your hip points pull up. Give yourself a few breaths here. Fold forward, hands to your shins, come into a half lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, right leg steps back, low crescent lunge. Sweeping the arms up, feel the side body lengthen. And then again, get heavy in the back leg. Extend the chest, and then bring your left hand to hip as you side fold. Breathe into the right side of the ribs. You can even bring the left hand down to the floor if you like. Give yourself another moment here, and then sweep the arms up. Hands down inside the left foot for lizard, turning the left toes out to 11 o'clock or maybe 10 o'clock. Stay upright or forearms to the mat or blocks. Maintain the extension of the spine as you let the left knee get heavy towards the floor. Again, it's not about pressing and doing in this posture, but letting the left hip open on its own. Slowly make your way back up. You'll come into a runner's lunge and slide the left foot back to a high plank and then downward facing dog. Spread the fingers, root down through the palms. Lift the shoulders as you draw the lower belly in and lift the hips. Keep pressing down through the big toe mound and outer heel. Give yourself a moment. Then come up high on your tippy toes. Step the feet halfway up the mat. Half lift. Exhale, fold. Next inhale, reach up. And exhale, hands to your heart. We'll turn and face the long edge of the mat, stepping the feet out wide so the ankles are underneath the wrists. Then come into goalpost arms and bend your knees, coming into goddess or horse pose. Lengthen the inner thighs towards the knees, pull the hip points up, tailbone lengthens to the floor. And then straighten the legs, open the arms out wide for warrior two. I'll be mirroring you. Turn the right toes out, lift the left heel to the back of the mat. Feel some lightness in the back leg as you press through the outer arch. Heaviness in the front leg as you ground through the 3 points of the foot to open the knee. Reach forward and back, and then straighten the front leg. Bring your hands to your hips and shorten your stance by bringing your back leg forward. Setting up for triangle pose, shift your hips left, reach right, and then windmill open your arms. Press through the outer left foot and the inner right foot. Lift up on the right kneecap and keep pressing the top of the right thigh bone back to lengthen the waist forward. Slowly make your way up. Turn the feet back into center, even slightly pigeon-toed, and fold forward, coming into a really wide leg downward facing dog. This is a nice posture to get full extension of the spine. Root down through the outer heels. Feel your inner thighs rotate back as you feel the sits bones lift high. Broaden your upper back by bringing the crease of the elbows more to the ceiling. And continue to support the low back by drawing the belly in. Walk the hands back to your toes, brace your core, open your arms wide. With your core, lift all the way up, leading with the chest. And then warrior two to the left. Lift your right heel, send it to the back of the mat, left toes to the top. Lengthen your tailbone towards the floor. Draw your lower belly in. And as much as you're reaching forward and back, draw your shoulder blades together and soften from your ears. Straighten your front leg. Bring your back foot in a few inches for triangle. Shift your hips to the right as you reach left. Extend the left side of the waist. This posture is about a long spine and both sides of the waist extended. It's not about bringing the hand to the floor. So bring the hand up higher on the shin or even to the back of the thigh so you can maintain extension and length. Give yourself a moment here. And then look down at your front foot, hands on either side, take it back to a high plank. And then from your high plank, lift your hips, downward facing dog. This is the last down dog of your practice. So continue to feel extension and engagement. High on your tippy toes, step up to the top of the mat, and then lower your hips to your heels and make your way onto your seat and then your back, setting up for bridge pose. Your feet look like a number 11. Your heels are close to your hips with your palms facing up to the ceiling. As you lengthen the low back, extending the tailbone towards your knees, lift your hips. Keep reaching your knees forward, pressing down with your inner feet. And then the more you press with the backs of the arms, the more lift of the chest you'll feel. Lower your hips down to the floor. Roll over to your side. Reach for one of your blocks and bring it between your thighs. Set up for your second bridge pose, walking your heels to your hips. Hug the block so you feel internal rotation of thigh bone and hip. That'll bring some space to your sits bones and give you the opportunity to lengthen the tailbone. It'll create some space in the low back. Continue to press through the inner feet, reach your knees forward, lift your hips higher, and press down more through your arms. Slowly lower your hips towards the floor. Release the block. Keep your feet the same distance from your hips, but bring them wide on the mat, and knees will come in towards each other into this constructive rest. Then wiper the legs over to the left. The left foot will cross over the outer right thigh as you look right. Soften the left inner thigh. Let the leg get heavy. Then feel the length to the right side from the low back wrapping around the front of the hip. Unwind the legs and let them wiper over to the right. Your right foot will cross over your outer left thigh, and the inner right thigh will let go. It'll soften. The right leg is pretty much a prop for the left leg. So bring the weight to the outer left thigh so you can feel the extension from the low back through the front of the hip. Come back through center. Pull both knees into your chest and even pull your chin up to your chest. If you can reach for your feet, do that. Extend the flesh of your seat towards your heels and then lower into Savasana, your final posture. Move any props that you're touching out of the way so there's no distractions. Let your toes rotate out to the side so the heels feel heavy. Relax through your calves and feel your thighs spread. Your belly becomes soft as your shoulder blades melt. Separate your teeth and let the back of your skull feel heavy. Soften the inner corners of your eyes and the outer corners of your mouth. Give yourself some time here with focus on the breath as you inhale and exhale. Bring life back into your body by wiggling your fingers and your toes. Bend your knees, extend your right arm over your head and roll over to your right side. Your right arm becomes a pillow for the ear. Slowly make your way back to a comfortable seat and bring your hands into your heart center. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, Namaste.